What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is the Wednesday, March 31st in the year 2021. And today is a day we spend all the time together recapping what we watched and witnessed that went on yesterday at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JStevens07. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter as well at Locked On Buckeye. Lineup for today is segment 2. We're talking about some things that stood out, some that went well, and some that didn't go so well yesterday at the Ohio State Pro Day. Segment 3, just my final thoughts on how I thought the entire day went. When we get to today's show, just a quick recap about how I think the day went. Just Ohio State players, the scouts, the coaches, everything that was on display. This year's Pro Day holds a whole lot more weight than normal. There is no NFL Combine this year, so the normal first underwear Olympics, second underwear Olympics, that is not the case. There's not two separate underwear Olympics in a short span. Nope, just one this year. Just one where the guys out there running, jumping, doing all the drills, and showing off their skill set for NFL executives, NFL scouts. Urban Meyer was there, representing the Jaguars, and of course, Ryan Day was there, looking good like he always does, representing his team. And Ohio State did definitely show up and show out yesterday. You can't say they did not do that. Some did well, some did not do so well. The first thing I think about when it comes to the 40-yard dash. Now, this is a number. This is a drill that doesn't really hold much weight with me at times. Now, it can show some things about certain people, but when in terms of Justin Fields and his 40 time, people want to say, well, we knew Justin Fields was fast. Yes, a 4.45 40 time was fast. That was clocked in by an NFL scout. His second time was a stumble, and I don't think he had a second official time. Justin Fields did want to run a break 4.4, getting the 4.3s, 4.39, 4.38, whatever it might be. Didn't happen. But I'm not going to knock Justin Fields when he runs a 4.45 40, 4.44, 4.43, something along those lines. No problem with it. Sticking with the 40, Baron Browning, 4.58, 4.59 at 6'2", 245 pounds. Also had a 40-inch vert, and he did a 10-foot, 10-inch broad jump as well. We talk about how athletic this young man is. It was showed off yesterday. Then you had somebody like a Tough Borland, a fringe draft pick, possibly an undrafted free agent. We'll find out at the end of April. 6'2", 229-pound linebacker. His 40 times, 4.98, 4.99. Vertical jump, 32.5 inches. Broad jump, 9 feet 1 inch. Does it wow you? No. It doesn't wow me at all. But we kind of already expect, some people, won't say everybody, some people expected this from Tough Borland. Not the most athletic guy, not the fastest guy. We kind of expected those measurables from him during the Pro Day. Justin Hilliard, 6'4", 229-pound linebacker. His 40 times, 4.84, 4.81. His instincts cannot be measured by the measurables that were put on display yesterday. But his instincts and what I have seen with him in the box, outside the box, his read and react, pre-snap, post-snap verification, I am very happy and excited about Justin Hilliard's future as a pro. The measurables, not so much. His vertical jump, 34.5 inches. Pete Werner, a guy that some call sneaky athletic. I'm going to leave it at that. 6'2", 238-pound linebacker, his 40 times were 4.64, 4.58. Faster than what I expected. That 4.58, when I see a 4.5 for a linebacker or 4.6 for a linebacker, that is fast for an LB in the NFL as well as an LB in college. I'm all for it. I like it. Pete Werner, 39.5-inch vert. And we have all seen a movie. I've seen it. You probably have seen it. White man can't jump. That does not work in this situation for Mr. Pete Werner. Tommy Togiai, he did break 5-second 40 or 4.97 on the second run, but he did also have the 40 reps on the bench press. Let me say it again for you. in case you didn't hear me. 40 reps at 225 on the bench press. He did a phenomenal job of showing off his strength. He did want to get to the 50. That didn't happen. Wyatt Davis, 6'3", 315-pound offensive lineman. The one measurable that will show 25 reps on the bench press. He did not do the broad jump, did not do the vertical, and didn't do any of these shuttle runs. Josh Myers, 6'5", 310-pound, 310-pound center. He did not do any of the measurables as well. No testing due to his foot. He did have 29 reps on the bench press. Shaun Wade was there. Shaun Wade, no testing as far as the measurables that you can test. He didn't do his height, his weight, his measurables of his hand, his arm, his wings, but none of the other measurables there were things you could say for Shaun Wade that he put on display. Van Browning, 23 reps on the bench press as well for him. Scroll back up to see that. There's a lot of numbers there, a lot of good things to talk about and to see from the Ohio State Buckeye players. Those were the measurables. How did they do on the field? Guys, we've all seen the tape and how they played in the game. But in the Underwear Olympics, I'm going to keep calling it that because that's basically what it is. These guys, once again, showed up and showed out. But how do their measurables compare to their on-field drills? Stick around and we'll find out. But first, check this out. We have been telling you about Built Bar, the best tasting protein bar on the market for a while now. Built Bar is the amazing low-calorie, low-sugar, high-protein, high-fiber, amazing tasting protein bar with 100% chocolate on all bars. Now is the time to find out which Built Bar is the best. It is Built Bar Madness. Today's matchup is cookies and cream versus cookie dough chunk. There's still time to vote for that matchup. Yes, it was yesterday's matchup, but there's still time to vote for that. Today's matchup, at the time of this recording, the Wednesday matchup is not up just yet. That matchup will be up around midday on Wednesday. Go to BuiltBar.com or to @bar_built on Twitter. Remember to use the promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, to get 15% off your next order. That is LOCKED15 to get 15% off your next order at BuiltBar.com. And check back to see who won today's matchup and who will become the best tasting protein bar. Get all the sports news you need in under 20 minutes with the new Locked On Today podcast. Host Peter Bukowski updates you on the latest news in every major sport with the help of our local experts. Follow the Locked On Today podcast on the Odyssey app. Almost said Audacity. Odyssey app, or wherever you get your podcast. If this is your first time listening or watching Locked On Buckeyes, I want to say welcome. Or if it's your first time in a long time watching or listening to the podcast, I want to say welcome back. Locked On Buckeyes drops a fresh new episode for you every Monday through Friday. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes on your favorite podcast listening app or WKYC.com. Check their daily or WKYC on YouTube so you don't miss a beat. Anytime post into your collegiate playing career and there's a time for you to work out in front of NFL scouts, the measurables, the things we just went over, those are going to be highlighted, but we're all looking to see, myself included, not my view on a pro day might be different than yours, but it's still a view that I think is more realistic to the average NFL scout. Anytime you get to get on the field with your boys, that we did see Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams out there catching passes from Justin Fields. We saw some former Buckeyes, one being an NFL scout, out there running drills as well. When you're out there on the field with these scouts, you want to show up and show out every time. When I'm going to go right to number one, not just number one in the program, but probably number one in some of your hearts as well, stealing a phrase from Mr. Bill Raftery, Justin Fields showed up and showed out. And here's where I am going to go ahead and say that my view towards a pro day is different than maybe yours, but it may align with the average NFL scout. There's only so much you can take away from the throws that Justin Fields made on Tuesday. Not trying to knock it. He was phenomenal. That one throw that went all around the Twitter. I saw one young lady, not sure if she's listening or not, but she was going around and tweeting Justin Fields, backing him up, protecting Justin Fields. All of these numbers and all these stats. There was even a well thought out and put together graph with different notes about Justin Fields, about the kind of football player he is, the quarterback, what he does when he's on the field, that you say he holds the ball too long, but this is why he does it. I'm like, okay, great. But there's only so much you can learn from these different drills. That's it. Not much. Yeah, he's throwing against air. There's no defensive back out there. The throws are scripted. The throws are scripted from point 1 to point 2 to point 3 to point 4. And as I was watching on the Big Ten Network, I forget who the gentleman was that was hosting that show. I think it was Rick Pizzo. And he made a comment. Justin Fields made a deep throw. It may have been the one that was going around Twitter. Forget the exact sequence. But Justin Fields made a throw, a deep throw, going against his body, going away from the rush, and threw the ball. The very next throw was a short pass to say, hey, you may have to throw that deep ball, but have to come right back down and make a short pass, a dump-off pass. You want to show the scouts, you can make this, and you can make that. But at the same time, if I'm an NFL scout, I am going to watch the film. I am going to see exactly how Justin Fields was in different situations. But when it comes to making all the throws, Justin Fields reminded us he could make all of the throws. Somebody else that I was very impressed with yesterday, not so much with running the drills and his vision out of the backfield, but Trey Sermon reminded everybody, his hands out of the backfield, he catches everything. Now, granted, he had a really good quarterback, an elite college quarterback, throwing him the ball, which does help you. But when he put his hands up to catch that ball, oh my gosh, every time, caught the ball upfield. Soft hands, caught the ball upfield. And might I remind you, Justin Fields put the ball in the right spot every single time for Trey Sermon. Every time. No questions asked. Every time. And so where people want to knock Justin Fields, it's very hard to knock him from the workout. Going into it, you knew it was going to be very hard to knock him in said workout because the workout was scripted and it was set up for him to succeed. Did he complete every throw? No. Was he expected to have at least 1 or 2 incompletions? Absolutely. Like I said before, I have yet to see a perfect game, and I have yet to see a player in a workout. Probably had 1 or 2, but every now and then you do end up making a bad pass. You're human. We all make mistakes. But Justin Fields made all the throws from inside to outside, sticking with the NFL hash marks, which are closer. So those outside throws are a little bit further outside than what you're used to. But he made all the throws, his poise, his demeanor, he didn't get too high, didn't get too low. He showed some excitement after some throws, but he kept his head in the game after that fact. Justin Fields, on my little notebook here, I'm going to put a check mark by him. He did a phenomenal job. Trey Sermon, he did a phenomenal job. And also, update with Trey Sermon's injury with his broken collarbone at the national championship game. He did say, he is A-OK. He is back and fully healed from that injury in the Natty. Happy to hear that. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to try and highlight a couple players very, very quickly. They had Jonathan Cooper. Remember how I said some things that didn't go so well? It's just trying some different things out. They had Jonathan Cooper with the linebacker drills during this combine. Now, in a pro day, excuse me. Now, it was kind of expected. My brother played college football at Butler University, started off at Thomas More, then transferred to Butler University, did his pro day at Ball State probably about 7-8 years ago. And he did the same thing as defensive end. They had him doing linebacker drills. And you could tell early on when I was helping him with his training, he was not up to par with the LB drills because he didn't do them every day. Now, Cooper, I just don't think this is his expertise. I don't think this is a spot for him, even going from me and the other people that I've talked to. I just don't see Cooper playing at LB, but you want to see him in those drills in the setting to say, hey, can he do it? Can he not? How is he now? Is he something that we can teach? Can we work on the hips? Can we work on the footwork? Can we work on the change of direction? All of those things that go into playing a linebacker at a high level. Can we work on those things? Cooper at that spot, I would say no. As far as that linebacker, I'm not saying he can't be an NFL defensive end or anything like that. I just say linebacker, no. If you want him to a 2-point stance, outside stand-up linebacker, maybe. When it comes to off the ball, I don't think it's 2-point stance LB. Off the ball LB, don't think so. Defensive end, we'll see. We will see. But I just don't think that's going to work out for him at the linebacker spot. But you do want to see him in those drills no matter what. One guy that really, really impressed me in some of the drills that he did, Tommy Togiai. We know his strength. We saw on the field what he can do in the trenches. Will it be a 1 technique shading the center or a 3 technique outside shade of the guard, right or left guard, depending on the formation that the offense comes out in? What will it be? Not sure. But from the 40 reps on the bench press at 225 pounds to his ability in the drills to get to dip down, get around the bag, quickly change the directions, that was impressive to me. Very, very impressive. Now, I saw the tape. We saw the games. But I was curious. One person I was watching was Tommy Togiai. How does he get around those bags at the size that he is? How does he change directions? How does he get over the bags? How does he go from one step to the next step, to the next step, to the next step? And I think Tommy Togiai, if anybody had any questions about him as far as hips and what you can take from the Underwear Olympics, Tommy Togiai, it's a check mark from me. Because those drills that he did, I was impressed. And if you guys haven't realized this about me yet, I'll give you a little tidbit on myself. I am a tough judge. My brother, one thing my brother says all of the time, and I said it to him when I was helping him get prepared for his pro day. He knows. Jay is a tough judge. Jay is tough. Sometimes too tough. Sounds like you put me in a dunk contest, judging contest now, or as a judge of a dunk contest. I won't be like the judges of this past year's NBA dunk contest or earlier this year because that was bad. They did not do a good job. But I'll be tough on you. Absolutely. Why? Because I want the best out of you, and I was expecting the best out of Togiai, and Togiai definitely gave us his best just yesterday. That was a lot of information in a short amount of time. I would try to slow my pace down as we wrap up this show to give you my thoughts about Ohio State's Pro Day. But first, check this out. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Football might be over, but NBA, college basketball, and even the NHL are in full swing. BetOnline even covers awards, TV shows, and reality TV. Real-time updated odds and props on almost anything you can imagine. BetOnline has you covered for all the news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets. And guys, it's even free to sign up. Head to betonline.ag on your computer or your mobile device. And when you do, make sure you use promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Once again, go to betonline.ag on your computer or mobile device. And when you do, make sure you use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, your online sports book experts. Are you ready for the NFL Draft? Join Locked On NFL Draft host Trevor Sakema and Benjamin Solak as they give you their latest positional rankings and analysis on 2021 draft prospects with team-centric guest mocks right around the corner. Follow the Locked On NFL Draft podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. Before we wrap up today's show, I want to give you a quick reminder of what's to come later on in the week. For over the next 2 days, just like last week, we had a 2-part day 1, day 2, part 1, part 2 to close out the Thursday and Friday shows of last week. This week will be the exact same thing. When we talk about basketball and football, this is a topic that came from the basketball season. What is better for your program? A 1-year transfer or a 2 to 3 year project? Talk some basketball, talk some football. There's rumors about a transfer coming to Ohio State from an SEC school. We're talking about that individual and a whole lot more to close out the week here on Locked On Buckeyes. The Ohio State Pro Day. When I think about a pro day, I think about a time for you to make sure you don't do anything to hurt your draft stock. It's that simple. It's literally that simple. Make sure that everything you do, make sure that it helps you stay where you are or improve things a little bit. We have seen Justin Fields. I'll talk about him for a second. I saw someone say a 4th-round grade. I don't know what kind of quarterback film they've been looking at, 4th-round grade for Justin Fields. Excuse me, what? Are we watching the same player play football? Because 4th round, now granted, it may be they don't have a need for a quarterback. It wasn't 4th round grade, it's 4th round on their board. Maybe they don't have a need for a quarterback at this point in time. Maybe they don't. Okay, I get it. Maybe they have more needs than that. But if I have a chance to draft a player like Justin Fields, and there's only probably a handful of quarterbacks that I will say that if I have a top 3 pick, I'm not picking a quarterback, or a top 10 pick, I'm not picking a quarterback. There aren't many teams out there that have a quarterback solidified at that position. Tom Brady's still in Tampa, but how much longer is Tom Brady going to play? And if you have a chance to draft a quarterback that early and have a working as a project, let's say top 15 or 1st round, let's say the Buccaneers for some reason they get an earlier pick than the last 2 or the very last pick. Well, do they have team needs? Absolutely. But if they have a chance to get a Justin Fields, do you think they would at least think about it? I do. So a player like Justin Fields, he could help himself immensely because there are a lot of people out there that are knocking his skill set. There are reasons to knock his skill set. There are reasons to think that Justin Fields needs to work on certain things. I've said it. You probably have said it. I'm not going to ride and say Justin Fields, because I'm a fan of his play, he is perfect. Not at all. We've documented them here, and you'll see people on the Twitter document them as well. But a day like today or yesterday was a day for Ohio State players to raise their draft stock. Some lower their draft stock. I don't believe Tough Bolin's 4.98 or 4.9940 hurt his draft stock. I think it just solidified the kind of player that he is. Now, USAJ did hurt his draft stock. He's already barely going to get drafted anyway. He's a 7th-round projection. I think he's going to be more of an undrafted free agent. He may become a late-round draft pick, simply a late draft pick anyway, simply because, 1, he didn't start all the time at Ohio State, and 2, he is a Buckeye. But I don't know. I don't think the scouts really look at the school you went to, possibly. But I am up in the air on Borland. I am really up in the air on 7th round UFA or undrafted free agent. That's just me. Go out and look at the mock draft. You'll be seeing they're saying the same exact thing. They kept flashing the graphic on the Big Ten Network saying one of their draft experts or draft scouts says where he thinks some of these guys will go. And Borland was 7th round. That's where their projection. So that 4.99, 4.98 doesn't really solidify anything, just shows what you see on the film. It confirms the speed or lack thereof. Ohio State Pro Day went very well. I have no complaints about it. I mean, it went about as you would expect. You had some youngsters in Olave and Williams and Wilson that were showing off their pass catching ability. You had Farrell and Hosman that were catching passes. You had Sermon, who I think he wowed people with his pass catching ability out of the backfield more than he did over the running back drills with Tony Alford and the jump cuts and all that stuff, and reading one person or reading another person. I think he wowed more via the pass catching out of the backfield than he did with any of the other drills. You got Togiai with the bench press, but you kind of expected him to be a bruiser. You kind of expected that. You had Davis and Myers. They're only going to be able to do so much. One nursing an injury, the other one he's an offensive lineman. You're not doing all O-line drills, Oklahoma drills, or any scrimmages at a pro day, which is why I call it the Underwear Olympics. You can only take away so much from this pro day, from any pro day, from the Underwear Olympics. But from what I saw, it almost confirmed everything that I believe the scouts knew about Ohio State players. And they're going to leave that pro day thinking about Justin Fields, saying, well, we had him as the 5th quarterback on our board. We really need a QB. But with some of those throws that he made, we might have to reevaluate our calculations. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching another episode of Locked On Buckeyes. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JSteven07. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Locked On Buckeyes. Come back tomorrow. Buckeye singular at the end of the podcast Twitter page, Locked On Buckeye. Accidentally put an S at the end of that. Once again, come back tomorrow and Friday. I'm going to do a 2-part series. Probably going to do another one next week. Something I've been teasing for quite a while. Probably going to be the week we do something like that. That's still not confirmed just yet. But tomorrow, Friday, what is better? A 1-year project or a 1-year transfer? A 1-year transfer or